Are you setting yourself up for disappointment without even knowing it? When birth planning is emotional and not practical, the hospital experience can hit hard. I've been a labor and delivery, postpartum, and NICU nurse for 17 years. In this video, I'm going to show you how many women sabotage their own birth, but you don't have to. Stick around and I'll give you the tools that you need to avoid these conflicts that many women fall victim to. Welcome into the Birth Prep Lounge. Hey girl, hey, it's your birth bestie, Nurse Rini, and we are back for another gathering in the Birth Prep Lounge. I hope you have your glass of Chateau de Fossé. We are going to dive right in. This is the third installment in our series, the third and final, in how to avoid sabotaging your birth experience. We're going to give you these final 4 tips, so a total of 10, including the first 2 videos, and we are going to talk about fixes so you can avoid these not so great experiences that a lot of moms tend to have. Let's dive in. So ladies, I know we've all heard about natural births. In fact, I'm in the prenatal and maternity streets and I've seen the birth wars happening out there. So I know there is team epidural, team no epidural. There is also team vaginal versus team cesarean. It's just a whole lot going on, right? And you want to have that natural, unmedicated birth experience and you want to show the world that you can do it, right? But what if focusing only on that leaves you with the short end of the stick? Like when we're looking for a job, we don't just apply to one job. Like we don't put all our eggs in one basket, right? So why is this different? Friend? Why is it different? Friend. Focusing on one thing can leave you woefully unprepared for any kind of medical intervention, thus rendering said intervention as very traumatic and stressful and emotionally damaging for you. So you don't want to altogether avoid, learning the medical aspect of things. So like I said, I always have a good story time for you girls. I remember this patient distinctly because it was a very interesting case. I am like the chosen one when people don't want to be bothered with like medical staff and stuff. I don't know why patients always love me. I really do lead with I want what you want, and I'm very gentle. I'm not going to push anything on you because that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to take care of you, make sure you're safe, make sure your baby's safe, and make sure you feel good. So this story about this one patient, gosh, this baby is probably going into teenage years now. But this patient, remember in my last video, I told you I've taken care of birth center and home birth patients. That's why I encourage you to know all of your options, including the hospital birth. But anyway, I took care of this patient. She came in from a birth center, so she was already upset and devastated, right? She already didn't trust the hospital staff. And I do find that most people who deliver at a birth center or at home tend to have a distrust or mistrust for the medical system. And I get why that is, right? So she came in and already just was like put off by everyone. Don't touch me. You can't help me. I don't want to see you. All of the things. I got lucky and she was assigned to me. But she was nice. She was nice, but she just did not want to be bothered, right? So I got her all admitted and settled in. And the reason I believe she came in was because she had an arrest of dilation or failed induction. I don't like the word failed. The induction just didn't work. It wasn't a fail. It was just like not your thing. It wasn't the thing for your body. She came in because she was at whatever centimeters for like hours, and the midwife recognized like she's not going to progress, we need to do something different. So she comes in, the midwife who she's known and has been with her the entire pregnancy and at some of the labor was like, all right, I'm gonna holler at you, old girl. You know what I'm saying? She just left her. And I was devastated because I'm like, this woman don't even want to be bothered with any of us, and you're leaving her without explaining anything, without managing us up, right? And when I say managing us up, I mean like telling her, and maybe she did, and I just don't know, but it didn't seem like it. We're gonna have to go to the hospital. They'll take good care of you. You'll have a whole team there that's going to make sure that you have the best outcome possible. Just speaking positivity into the experience, especially as it was going left. So this woman ended up getting an epidural, which of course was not in her birth plan because she planned to birth at a birth center. So she's probably already like pissed at us because now she's getting an epidural. Now, no one forced her to get an epidural, but she had been laboring for so long and she was exhausted. So she got the epidural and settled in real nicely. We left her alone. I would check on her, make sure everything was okay. And then I was on day shift. And so then I handed her off that night. And apparently they did nothing overnight. She wouldn't let anyone touch her or anything at night. And so I come back the next day, I get her back and find out like nothing happened overnight. But finally, she decides she'll let the doctors do a cervical exam. Y'all, this baby was face presentation. There's so many different presentations, and we do talk about some of them in my course, but just for all intents and purposes, babies usually ideally will come out like this, out of the vagina like that. You could not see that, I'm sorry, but basically like that, okay? And this baby, if this is the labia, this is the baby coming out. Hey world, Hey guys, that's the baby coming out. It's hard to deliver a baby like that because the neck is already flexed, and so it's going to be hard to get the baby out. So it's not ideal, and that's probably why she was not progressing, because her baby was stuck. And now I have seen a woman deliver with face presentation. It was hard as hell, but she did it. She worked for that one. But this baby just wasn't going to come out. They did the cervical exam when I came back on shift and found that the baby was face presentation. They're like, your cervix has not changed, and the baby is face presentation. You will need a C-section. She ended up with a C-section. Baby came out, face all swollen and bruised from being stuck like that, but she was happy. But all that to say is that sometimes we don't have control over what happens. And so what could be an unmedicated vaginal delivery plan could end up being something very different. So you should prepare for all of them. And you can prepare for all of them. It's not like you can't. So that's why I'm saying this. Things that I would focus on for your understanding: cervical dilation, fetal descent, cervical effacement, epidurals, even if you don't want one, I would still read about it. C-sections, unfortunately. All right. Unfortunately, it depends on how you look at it. Definitely, I would focus on those things, learning those things. It doesn't mean that you're like buying into having that experience. It just means that you're going to be way more prepared than those who don't read up or look into it or learn about it. Being afraid is so natural. I think it's one of the common feelings that we don't talk about as it relates to being pregnant and having a baby, right? Because you're supposed to be just so happy and elated and you're growing your family and what a blessing, but you can still be scared and feel all of those things. All those things can be true. Like, it's a blessing, yes. I want to grow my family, yes. But am I afraid? Absolutely. Of more than one thing at the same time, right? It's not just I'm afraid of carrying a baby and growing a human. I'm also afraid of pushing that baby out. Or if you know you're having a C-section, I'm also very afraid of having major abdominal surgery. I'm afraid to take this little person home. So there are so many different fears that we can have. Right now, the fear we are talking about really surrounds labor. There's a fear of tearing, there's a fear of pain, there's a fear of getting an epidural, there's a fear of having major surgery. And the best way to deal with those, friends, the fix is going to be to acknowledge them. You don't have to walk around acting like everything is perfect. If you don't feel perfection, if you feel concerned, and you are not the only one. That is the one thing that I will tell you. I've never met someone that's brought something up that no one else considered. Like, never. And I'm an easygoing person, I think. And I feel like my clients think that. So they tend to ask me all the questions. And I always encourage them in class before we start, like, ask all the questions. Because when you come here, I'm starting at ground zero. I'm assuming you know nothing so that we can build on knowledge. And I want everyone to be at the same place at the end of this class. So that's why I say ask all the questions, because guaranteed if you ask this question, then someone else may have it or they didn't know that they had it. Okay, so ask the questions that are causing fear in you. Acknowledge that, write them down, and talk about why you are afraid, right? I'm afraid of tearing because I'm afraid of having a vaginal birth, because I am afraid of tearing, because I am afraid that it will hurt. It goes deep, right? Just keep digging into it. And if you have an immense fear, I would definitely verbalize it and actually seek out a therapist who specializes in postpartum. Ask your doctor about it, or your midwife. I'm sure they have someone on deck that they can recommend to you. But I will tell you that tension can impede labor. What do I mean? The uterus is a muscle. It's a muscle that's contracting, expanding, and doing all the things, right? But if you were tense like this, it's not going to work as effectively. So what do I mean? I have seen women come in terrified and tense up because they're anticipating that next wave of contractions, and their body can't work effectively. So I've seen those same women who are riddled with pain get an epidural and dilate just like that. Literally, they relax and their body relaxes and opens up and allows birth to flow and happen. So tension can definitely cause physical reactions, but also mental, like psychological and emotional reactions as well. So again, going back to the previous video where we talked about TikTok reels and Instagram reels and how they're just so like amazing, and how they are actually just the highlights and you don't see all of the blood and the liquid and all the things that goes into childbirth. It's a very miraculous and beautiful thing, but expecting birth to be predictable is setting yourself up for the okie doke. All right. Birth is not predictable. If it were, probably everyone would have a home birth. Every labor is unique. Every patient is unique. Every labor with the same mom is even unique. I had a patient one time. She was an induction of labor. This was, I think, her sixth child, and it was her first girl. And she said, yeah, this is going to take forever, this induction. I've had to be induced with all of my children, and they were all boys, and all the inductions took forever. I was like, okay, got you. She was cool. We bonded. It was a nighttime induction. So she came in, I got her admitted, got her situated, got her, all the admission stuff done and started her induction. And halfway through the night, I'm in and out throughout the night, but halfway through the night I go in, I'm like, I smell something, right? And if you don't know, it is quite common for women to have bowel movements as they are getting near to delivery. So I'm like, what's going on here? She had an epidural, so she didn't even know that she was using the bathroom, right? So I turned on the light. I was like, I need to turn on the light just to check something. My friend, I turn on that good light. I see stool and baby girl's head crowning. I'm like, your baby's coming. It's not even, we're not even halfway through the 12-hour shift. So all that to say, every labor is different. Every experience is different. Your friend who's pregnant at the same time as you may have gone into the hospital and delivered her baby within hours. Your sister may have labored at home, gone into the hospital, and delivered her baby as soon as she got there. Your labor started without medication, and now you're still there 2 days later and haven't delivered your baby. Every situation is different. And so, again, going back to our previous video where we said we don't want to be so rigid that we don't allow ourselves the flexibility of a different experience than someone else had. Okay, we're not all machines. We don't all function the same way. We're not robots. We do things differently. Our bodies are made differently. Our babies, therefore, are different, right? Different genes and everything. Oh, Lord, let me not say genes in this day and age. But anyway, you know what I'm saying? Like, there are different reasons that people experience labor and birth differently. What you want to focus on, the fix in this case, is focus on being adaptable, knowing that this is what I want to experience, this is what I'm hoping for, this is what I'm hoping this looks like. But if it's not looking quite like this, I am going to have a mental reset and adapt to whatever is happening at this moment in time. And know that it's not personal. You want to stay informed about your body and your options. The more flexible your mindset, the more empowered you'll feel to make decisions, even if they differ from what you initially planned. So you've done all the things and the baby is here. Yay! All of the feels, right? And now it's postpartum, which is a whole different situation. Birth is just one day, but postpartum extends up to a year. This is not only where your body begins to heal, but your mind also begins to heal. You start to process what took place. Even if it was good, you still need to process the experience, acknowledge it, and sit in it and see how you feel about it. How you manage your mind and your body will shape how you experience the rest of the postpartum period. So many women underestimate the labor portion of childbirth. Most women feel like they'll come in and have their baby and within the day, within 12 hours, I feel like that's a very reasonable time to think that you'll have a baby. But what most women don't know is that inductions of labor can go up to 3 days. If you came in labor, but your labor stalled and you have to be augmented, that could take further time. So a lot of folks underestimate how exhausting labor is, and then subsequently they are extremely exhausted in the postpartum period. Sometimes being so exhausted can overshadow the joy of being a new mom and growing your family and having a new little person to take care of. And that can probably actually seem very daunting because you are tired. You can imagine having to take care of, feed, change, and clothe someone else at the moment, right? When you can't even do those things really for yourself. My recommendation, my fix here is to line up postpartum support. A lot of people may want to come see you in the hospital. I would say nix that, okay? The hospital will keep you busy and aggravated enough in the postpartum period. We don't let you rest. We're always in your room. We're always checking on you. We're always doing vitals. We're checking on the baby. We are doing all kinds of testing. You don't get rest in the hospital. But what you can do is line people up at home to help you out and figure out what that looks like. And there is going to be a video on that, okay, to how best help people support you in the postpartum period. I hope this video was extremely helpful for you all. I want you to walk away from this remembering to know all of your options. There is nothing wrong with knowing the entire scope of what could happen and how to be best prepared for it. Face your fears head on and stay adaptable. Make sure that you feel supported in the postpartum period, and the best way to do that is to go ahead and start planning for the postpartum period now. Be gentle with yourself, be kind to yourself, and take everything one step at a time. If you want to dive deeper into this topic and how women sabotage their own births, let me know. I can gather some girlfriends too, and we can talk about all of the things. Join the Birth Prep Lounge. It's on Facebook. It is a private group, but definitely join up and we can have conversation on a regular basis because I love a good conversation, guys. Make sure you drop your questions below, any comments below. I do respond. And if you already have had a child and you have something you want to add, definitely add it in the comments, okay? We welcome all good, solid, sound, evidence-based information here. Nurserini signing off from the Birth Prep Lounge. Don't forget to drink your Chateau de Fossé, stay hydrated, stay fabulous, and take care. Bye now.
Now where do we go from here? Tell me